Alright, so let's talk about a little bit of these controls in this game. The wheel mouse, as you can see, will scroll in, scroll out, scroll in, scroll out for zooming. You can also hover over something and hit the Alt key. That'll make it larger. If it was a card, same difference. Let's just throw some cards down on the board. If it was a card, come over the top. While you have the Alt key held down, if you wanted to even the card to be bigger, you can use the wheel mouse there as well to get the card bigger or smaller. And it does remember what you set it to. So get it to a size you want. Let go of Alt, come over a different one, and you'll see they're all going to be that size now. So that's the scroll wheel in combination with Alt. And Alt is a magnifier. You can also hold Z down. If you press Z, it'll just quick go wherever the cursor's at. And you see, oh, I want to check this out. You just Z and Z, Z, Z. You can also hold Z down, and if you hold Z, you can move the table around. I'm holding Z down and moving the mouse, and that's how I get the table to move around. You can do interactions together, so holding Z down, moving around, and scroll wheeling at the same time. So you can have a lot of control over how you want to zoom in. If you right click and hold on the table and move the mouse, you're going to see the table is going to start to spin around. You can go up, down, left, right, or a combination to move the table around. If you ever get into a spot where it's all messed up and you just need to get back, if you double or hit the space bar will bring you back to Game Center. You can also save camera views. So say I wanted to save this camera view right here. You can just couple of different ways. You can either hold Control and hit a number on the number pad, or not, or like the row of numbers on your keyboard, just like number 1. You can see it saved camera 1. Now if I move out somewhere else and then I hold Shift down and hit number 1, it'll take me right back to that camera view. You can also set camera views by right-clicking once and saving a camera view. You can load a camera view the same way. So that's the cameras, right-clicking, Z moves, Z jumps in, Z jumps out. Now, Warsaken requires us to spin cards, move cards. In order to spin an object, you click the object, you'll see it raise up in the air. You hold down, or you press Q. By pressing Q, it spins one way. By pressing E, as in Edward, it spins the other way. So that's how we spin our cards around, with Q as in quack and E as in Edward. Quack, Edward. That's how the cards spin around. Let's see, what else can we do? The F. So if you hover over a card and press F, it will flip the card. We do a lot of card flipping in Warsaken. F flips it. So even if you have, say you had cards in your hand, I'll take some cards to my hand here. Now I'm on my hand. These are my hand. Nobody else can see this. But if I wanted to play a card that was going to take a turn, okay, this is going to take 1. Well, I don't want them to see it. So I pay my resources, and then while I'm hovering over it in my hand, I can press F, and it'll flip the card prior to me setting it down on the game board. So F is how you flip a card. You can flip a card in your hand. You can flip a card on the board. You can flip anything. You can just go up to it, flip it. You can flip dice. You can do anything. Anything that can flip, you can flip with F. Now F won't take anything apart. You see there's 20 of these, so when I flip it, I'm going to see the bottom card. When I flip it back, when I flip it, it's just the bottom card. There's other cards underneath it that you didn't see. So F is the flip key. Let's say we want it to shuffle. You can do that a few different ways. You can right click on it and you can come to shuffle, which is at the top here. Or you can just hover over it and press the R key. R is shuffling the deck. As you can see, it's spinning. If it's a dice, you can just do R. R is like rolling it. You can also come up to a dice and specifically press it to a number. That's a number 1. We'll say 4. We'll say 2. And you can see it sets it to that. If you're hovering over cards and you press a number, it will draw that many cards. So if I press the number 1, you're going to see that this 8 will become a 7, and I will have one more card in my hand. So there'll be a card that will appear here. So if I press 1, you can see that went to a 7, and here's the card I drew off of that deck. If you press 5, it'll draw 5, and you can see those 5 come up on the end here. So the number keys over the top of cards is how you get the cards into your hand. Be careful doing that, because if you're going across the board and you're over looking at your opponents and you bump the number 1, and whoops, all of a sudden that card's in your hand. So you want to be sure when you're pressing the buttons, you're pressing the buttons when you should. But number keys will allow you to draw, or if it's a numerical object, it'll allow you to set it. Now, once we have some cards out here, especially when you're building a deck, you get your cards out, and now you kind of want to get them all back into the same stack. Well, you can highlight multiple items and press the G key, as in George, and they will group that cards together, and now they become one. Now, if you want to get a card out here, when you're deck building, we only have the deck builder set up with one card of each from each set. To get multiple cards, what you do is you hover over the cards, you hit Control C as in Charlie, Control V as in Victoria, and you'll see you can just copy and paste the object. So that's how we can get cards on there. That being said, it makes it real nice because it doesn't matter if you delete the objects, because you can just create the object. So delete is just the delete key. Hover over anything, hit the delete key, and it'll disappear.